I think Charlie's got, go back and back. I think Charlie.
We're on the record in 2 cases. Well, actually, we're on the record in 4 cases. The first case is cause number 324298. Second case is cause number 324300. Third case is cause number 326712. And the fourth case is cause number 326714. All 4 cases are styled the state of Texas versus Marcus Dwayne Johnson. Mr. Johnson, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Johnson, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Okay, Mr. Johnson, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Johnson? Okay, Mr. Johnson, with your attorney, Mr. Samuel. Mr. Samuel, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, sir.
That's good. Mr. Johnson, the first case that we will proceed on is cause number 326712. And that case, as I said earlier, is styled state of Texas versus Marcus Dwayne Johnson. The information in that case alleges that on or about August 18 of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of resisting arrest, search, transportation. Mr. Johnson, do you understand what you've been charged with? You have to speak up. And to this charge, Mr. Johnson, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, and no contest? Now, you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? Freely, and you're gonna have to speak up. She's taking a record. And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? You pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? Okay. Now, Mr. Johnson, I have before me what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 1. It's titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. Mr. Johnson, do you recognize this document? You have to speak up. And on the second page of this document, Mr. Johnson, he got his initials on one line and an X on a different line. He got his initials on the line that says guilty and the X is on the line that says no contest. Thank you. Mr. Johnson, on page 2 of State's Exhibit number 1, are these your initials? And on page 3 of State's Exhibit number 1, is that your signature above the line that says defendant? And on the next document, which is the trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document? And is that your signature above the line that says defendant? There's one box that's checked at the top of this document. That box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? I have another document, Mr. Johnson. This document is titled the Discovery Certification. Mr. Johnson, do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that says defendant? Now, Mr. Johnson, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Samuel, go over these documents with you? And did you read and understand everything in these documents? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, no objection. State's Exhibit number 1 will be entered. Ms. Musgrove, do you have State's Exhibit number 2?
Yes, Your Honor, I will be bringing exhibit number 2.
Are you going to be offering State's Exhibit number 2?
Yes, I will offer State's Exhibit 2.
We have no objection.
Okay,
to
State's Exhibit number 2, which is the probable cause affidavit, has been offered, and there's no objection, so therefore it'll be admitted in evidence. Now, Mr. Samuel, you have advised and counseled Mr. Johnson. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson, your attorney, Mr. Samuel, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation? Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation? Mr. Johnson, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of no contest and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
The state is offering 1 year deferred adjudication, a $500 fine plus 60 hours of community service.
Plus how many hours of community service?
60.
60?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Investigate that. Mr. Johnson, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. In this case, during the 1 year probationary period, you will be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $287. So that comes to a total of $787. You'll also be required to pay $60 probation fee, and the total monthly installments that you would have to pay in this case is $150 per month. Would you be able to pay fine fees and costs of the monthly installment fee of $150 per month? Okay. Now, you will also be required to perform 60 hours of community service. Now, Ms. Musgrove, I also
Yes, Your
see
Honor.
in the judgment that this case is going to run concurrent with cause number 326714, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And also, it's noted in the judgment that 2 cases will be dismissed. First case is cause number 324298, and the second case is cause number 324300. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. We submitted the dismissals for those 2 cases.
Okay. Now, Mr. Johnson, the state will also be dismissing cause number 324298 and cause number 324300. And this case will be running concurrent with your second case, which is cause number 326714. Mr. Johnson, do you understand the state's offer? And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? Okay, and do you accept the state's offer? Okay. Okay, court is gonna follow the pre-bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. You gotta date that. Sir, you gotta date it. Put the date, so it's not dated. We're gonna proceed to this next case. I'm gonna have to get that judgment on that other one too. Okay, the next case is cause number 326714, the state of Texas versus Marcus Dwayne Johnson. Now, Mr. Johnson, in the information that the court has before it, in this case, it is alleged that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of criminal mischief, which occurred on or about August 18th of 2019. Mr. Johnson, do you understand what you've been charged with in this case? And to discharge, Mr. Johnson, how do you plead? guilty, not guilty, or no contest. Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? Is it- Okay, now, Mr. Johnson, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. And I'm gonna show you State's Exhibit number 1, Mr. Johnson. And do you recognize this document? And on the second page of this same document, Mr. Johnson, are these your initials? And on the third page of this document, Mr. Johnson, is that your signature above the line that says defendant? And on the next document, which is the trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, Mr. Johnson, do you recognize this document? And is that your signature above the line that says defendant? There's one box that's checked at the top of this document. That box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? Okay. And Mr. Mr. Johnson, I also have before me a document which is called a discovery certification. Do you recognize this document? And is that your signature on the line that says defendant? Now, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Samuel, go over these documents with you? And did you read and understand everything in these documents? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections? Okay, no objections. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Ms. Musgrove, will you be offering another exhibit?
Yes, Your Honor.
There's no objection to that exhibit.
And what exhibit is that?
The probable cause affidavit.
It's State's Exhibit number 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, State is offering State's 2, any objection?
No objection.
Okay, no objection. State's Exhibit number 2 will be admitted. Mr. Samuel, you advised that counsel, Mr. Johnson in this case as well. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Mr. Johnson, your attorney, Mr. Samuel, has advised the counsel you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation? Okay. Mr. Johnson, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of no contest and waivers was freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
The state is offering 6 months deferred adjudication, no fine, 60 hours of community service, and restitution in the amount of $733.66 to the city of Beaumont.
Oh, you gotta add his restitution in? Okay. Okay, we're back on the record. Now, Mr. Marcus Johnson. Now, we're back on the record in cause number 326714. Mr. Johnson, the state is offering that you pay a court cost in this case of $287. Now, the state is offering that you serve 6 months on deferred adjudicated probation. During this probationary period, you will not be required to pay a fine. However, you will be required to pay court costs of $287. And you will also be required to pay restitution in this amount, in the amount of $733.66. I see here there's a probation fee of $60, and there's a urinalysis fee of $15. I do know that because you have probation on both of these cases, you will not be required to pay a $60 probation fee on the second case. You're only going to be required to pay the one probation fee. So if I just use some math, instead of being required to pay $280 a month on installments, it'll be $220 a month because I'm taking out the $60 probation fee. Do you understand that? Now, will you be able to pay the $220 in monthly installments? You will? All right. Now, you'll also be required to pay $60. Excuse me. You'll also be required to perform, 60 hours of community service. And this case will run concurrent with cause number 326712, the previous case. And cause number 324298 will be dismissed along with cause number 324300. And the restitution that you will be paying in the amount of $733.66 will be payable to the city of Beaumont. Mr. Johnson, do you understand the state's offer? And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer? Okay, Mr. Johnson, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you entered into with the state. Mr. Johnson, if you successfully complete the deferred probation in these cases, your case will be dismissed. This conviction will not appear on your record as a conviction, and you may qualify for what is called a non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney, Mr. Alwyn Samuel, about the non-disclosure. He's quite competent in those matters. All right? Please stand over here on the X in front of the court clerk and follow her directions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.